More and more is expected of today's modern soldier. They must be fast, mobile, adaptable, able to fight light. In the next half hour, we focus on Virtus, the British Army's latest protective kit. Can it really support the next generation of military personnel? Louisiana is in the heart of the Deep South, a place proud of its armed forces and heritage. Famous for great music, food, and the occasional party, the Pelican State is also home to one of the US Army's elite urban training areas. The 3rd Battalion, the Rifles, have travelled 4,500 miles to come here to the Joint Readiness Training Centre in Fort Polk. Every year, this place trains 50,000 US personnel on pre-deployment training for operations across the world. And this time around, British troops are going to be attached to a US Airborne Brigade. Day 1 and B Company are settling into their new home for the next few weeks. For 4 and 5 Platoon, exercise Rattlesnake promises to be quite an experience. For some, this is their first time in the States. For others, it's their first ever time overseas.
I'm just looking forward about everything, like working with the Americans, like the assets and that they've got.
Seeing how they do it all different to us, because they're going to have their different SOPs compared to what we do. So it's learning off them, really.
I've always wanted to come to America. I never thought I'd get the chance with the forces, because America's not usually a place we go.
First time in America, sun's out, so can't complain. Obviously looking forward to use more of the Virtus kit, get to grips with that more.
In Afghanistan and Iraq, British troops often patrolled with more than 50 kilograms of kit on their backs. Weighed down, it would take every ounce of energy to fight and manoeuvre properly.
For the body armour, basically your arm rotation of movement, where you've got your weapon system, and like you're pretty limited from using your arms, your straps of your Bergen or your Daysack getting caught.
Compared to the new Virtus kit, it's a lot more bulky, probably a bit more heavier as well. So obviously wearing your Daysacks, Bergens on top of that, it just adds more bulk, and like you say, it's quite hard to, obviously very hard to fight in.
The riflemen have travelled to Louisiana, but are also on a voyage of discovery to see if Virtus can provide a solution. This is one of the most challenging training areas they'll ever experience, allowing them to push their new kit to its limits. And it's not long before they get stuck in. As the Apaches circle overhead, the platoons of B Company move on to their objective. Engineers and fire support help clear their way. Insurgents have moved into this village. It's the soldiers' job to move them out. Methodically, room by room, they search each building, apparently moving easily in their new kit. Exercise Rattlesnake is the first time British troops have trained in Louisiana with US forces for almost a decade. The Joint Readiness Training Centre, or JRTC, is one of only 3 places in the world American troops use for this level of urban training.
The best bit probably is the Apaches giving us fire before we go in, as well as 50 cals going on the road as well. It's just something different, you don't get that back at home.
And how about you? What did you enjoy the most?
Yeah, it's the same as ever. Just seeing the Apaches come over ahead, giving some fast sports, like it's a massive buzz. And obviously it's a quality environment to be training in. It's really realistic. And then obviously got the support from the Americans with the 50 cals. It's a lot of fun.
By working with the Americans, we get the excellent opportunity of seeing how another army does things, and we can pick up some lessons about how they do things, how they use their resources, and how they go about their training. So we can learn a lot from what they're doing. So to have learned some things, and also the exercise is so well resourced, it's an excellent opportunity.
JRTC is more than double the size of Salisbury Plain. For the first phase of their exercise, the Americans and British have 13 villages to clear. Villages that allow the troops to train in a way that's just not possible back across the pond. In the UK, training in an urban environment is done using blank ammunition to protect the soldiers when they're clearing through the rooms. But here in Louisiana, these buildings use a special type of absorbent ballistic concrete, meaning you can use live rounds with a minimum chance of ricochet. It all adds to the adrenaline and sense of realism you feel here. Live firing inside buildings. It's as close as it gets without real bullets flying down range both ways. And all of this proves a real test for the British Army's latest personal protective kit. 3 rifles received Virtus just weeks before they deployed, back at their barracks in Edinburgh.
So what we've got here is the new body armour system for the troops. The Virtus and its inners, which will go inside the actual body armour kit. What's different and special and specific to this? Certain points which with old Osprey body armour used to be quite, used to dig in quite a lot on the shoulders and around the neck. It's got narrower shoulders, which makes it much more durable and comfy to wear. It also has, it can break down, so it can be worn as a body armour or bent in-wise, so it can be worn as a plate carrier. Each rifleman will come with a pretty generic standard of kit, but if anyone else specialises, let's say he's an LMG gunner or he's a sharpshooter, we get various different pouches, which makes it a lot better for the ammunition to go in. So we've got it for the LMG and the sharpshooter, which will be slightly different to the normal rifleman where he places his magazines, which we didn't have previous.
The whole idea behind this is very much that everything is integrated, everything fits well together, isn't it?
Exactly that. It can be quite easy. Pulled off one set of weapon, placed onto another, depending on your role, whether you're a rifleman, whether you're a commander, sharpshooter, LMG. It's very versatile and can move around very simply, and you can just place it on how you want and how you want it fitted onto your kit.
Virtus uses the same camouflage as the old Osprey body armour and the same plates. But this is new and improved. This kit is designed as a complete system. It's smaller, slimmer, with more space for manoeuvre. Webbing goes under the body armour. There's more optional head and face protection. And troops can just choose the parts relevant to their role, be they an infantryman, gunner or signaller. The whole kit is 5 kilos lighter. The regular helmet has knocked off 350 grams from its predecessor. A counterweight can be attached at the back to balance out a night sight. Virtus is all about making life easier. The dynamic weight distribution system is a movable spine that can be fitted to the back of a soldier's body armour, day sack or bergen. Just one press of a button allows them to balance the weight between their back, hips and shoulders, so they can go further for longer. And then there's this, the quick release mechanism, a way of getting out of body armour within seconds. Virtus has been years in the making. The project began back in 2012 with trials and a winning manufacturer chosen in 2015. It's been handled by a special team at Defence Equipment and Support in Bristol.
We were looking to have that scalable protection. We were looking to find better integration between all of those elements and treat it as a system. So the first ever body armour system has now been developed within the Virtus system. We have the helmet, we have the body armour vest, we have the pelvic protection and the load carriage system as well. And combined that gives a greater benefit in terms of the user's ability for comfort, agility and general user fit.
The companies that make the Virtus system put it through months of solid testing, both in the lab and in the field, making sure it was up to the job.
There's a huge number of tests that we actually did, 95 in total across the whole requirement piece. The team were incredibly hard working to deliver that, and multiple range of tests, from user trials, from real mission scenario examples, down to ballistic trials and laboratory trials. Those laboratory trials were quite specific in developing the human factors element, and that's the underpinning element of this system. How does the human function within the system? We want to make that better. We want to increase their comfort and agility. And to do that, we had to understand how they were going to use it. So we did some lung function tests, we did cognitive tests, and some of those have really brought out how the soldier needs to use the system in real life operations. So they've been invaluable to us.
Virtus is now entering service with the British Army. But how will it fare in one of the United States' toughest urban training areas? The British Army is changing. Its soldiers must now fight light, only carrying the essential items with them. Their kit needs to adapt to this, which is where Virtus comes in. It's the latest in personal protection, a new helmet, body armour and load carriage system. All the kit is integrated, lighter and ergonomically designed, making it more comfortable and offering the soldier increased mobility and endurance. It's an idea supported by the British government. Earlier this year, the Armed Forces Minister visited troops wearing Virtus in Wales. All infantry troops are trained here to learn how to close in and kill the enemy.
We've come a long way over the last few years, but I know, talking to the people here, this is really good. It's the helmet is so much more comfortable. It really sits on the body well. It's lightweight, and people are really pleased with how it's working out.
It allows us to carry the equipment that we need into battle more effectively, and we're very grateful for for the investment that's being made in us. It's a great piece of equipment, and we're certainly trialling it here, and we're putting it through its paces.
But after its outing in the Brecon Beacons, Virtus is now being tested in much warmer climes.
Room clear! Door front, window front!
B Company 3 rifles are in Louisiana facing a huge test. Embedded with a US brigade in one of America's elite urban training environments. They're high-tech soldiers training in a high-tech area. Exercise Rattlesnake is about proving themselves and their new protective kit. The testing for Virtus has been more than 2 years in the making, but it's only now on exercise here in America that's really being put through its paces in a live exercise environment, seeing whether this kit is truly suited to the demands of today's modern soldier.
Because we're in it every day, all day, hot weather, doing some large-scale attacks, it will give us a good opportunity to sort of push the kit to its limits.
We're in the full sort of body armour mode at the moment, but as we move into the force-on-force exercise, we'll be able to move it into the plate carrier, scale up and scale down. So we'll be able to test it in a different environment. This is quite hot, or will be quite hot and humid by the end. So take it to places it's probably not been before and give it a good workout.
The purpose: to facilitate freedom of movement.
3 rifles are embedded for the exercise with the 1st Battalion 501st Infantry Airborne from the US Army, Alaska. They're tasked by a US Airborne Brigade, just like a modern-day coalition. It's putting the special relationship into practice, able to call upon a wealth of assets.
This is as big as it gets for us. We've got about 674 paratroopers on the ground, and our British attachments. So we also have Marine Anglico, so experts in naval gunfire and close air support. We've got Apache attack helicopters. We've got civil affairs and engineers, field artillerymen, forward observers. If it's out there and we get it, we have it.
where we may occasionally have notional assets. They have none of that, so they're real assets. So they've got real AH and SH, so real attack helicopters and support helicopters. They've got real enemy aviation as well. They've got air, fire support. It's all real.
The Joint Readiness Training Centre has prepared soldiers for operations since the Second World War. 200,000 acres, currently used ahead of US deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan. In the scenario, the fictional country of Atropia has been invaded by an insurgent radical group. Their government calls for military assistance. An American-British coalition is formed. Hundreds of airborne soldiers parachute in under the cover of darkness. They land in a huge training area known as the Box. This is role play on a huge scale. 17 villages, each with their own shops, markets, police stations, a civilian population to help and protect, and an enemy to face that is made up of a US battalion who constantly play the insurgent. For Virtus, it's a real test in a fictional world. There are more than 600 role players here in Atropia. Refugees need humanitarian assistance, and there are key players to interact with: policemen, journalists, even politicians.
I'm a firm believer that this training that we do is vital to their mission, because you know that the Americans are subject to just deploy anywhere in the world on a moment's notice, and this gives them that edge to be able to interface with foreign country governments.
We have Hollywood-type replicated effects of explosions, car bombs going off. When we have RPGs, we have simulators on strings that when they shoot an RPG, you'll actually see something fly through the air. It will hit a pre-staged wall that's ready to explode, and the wall will explode. It is as realistic as we can make it.
Training here in Louisiana has two phases. First, there's live fire and the pop-up bad guy. But in the second phase, in the Box, troops use blank ammunition and sensors in what's basically an epic game of Laser Quest. They're up against a live, thinking enemy, a parachute battalion dedicated to the same fight 10 times a year.
We're insurgents, and we kind of fight, similar something to ISIS or, Al-Qaeda. And we kind of provide the insurgent threat picture, which is combines things we're seeing in Iraq and Afghanistan with IEDs, technical vehicles, and various other small arms that insurgents are using.
We usually just come up against an enemy that's going to be in one place and one place only. So I think it's what we've always, I think a lot of people wanted, an enemy that you can fight against rather than just find, destroy, and then carry on. So it'll be very good, very interesting.
It's going to be a good experience, I'm guessing, for you guys.
Yeah, it should be good. Because right now, an exercise back in Britain, pretty much know what the enemy are going to do, because all exercises are the same. Over here, they're free-for-all, so we have no idea what they're going to do to us.
It's unpredictable and challenging, and the variety creates the ideal environment to test the new Virtus kit.
In the live firing phase, we were trying to fight as light as possible. So every man was stripped to the basics, carried as little as he needed to, and patrolled in. So everyone was with their webbing. So we've tested it really well with our body armour, the helmets, the interaction with the webbing, and everyone had the opportunity to, because it's so scalable, to put the pouches effectively where they wanted them, where they found them most useful.
For this rotation, B Company are tasked by the 425 Infantry Brigade Combat Team Airborne. From its most senior foreign officer down to the junior ranks, they all realise the value of multinational thinking.
There's no doubt that there will be another hotspot somewhere in the world that we'll have to deploy, and there's also, without a doubt, that we'll be doing it with our coalition partners. What's doubly unique is the fact that not only do we have the 3 rifles that are down here, but also there's a Canadian platoon, and so the multinational, the coalition flavor that this rotation offers the folks from 425 is just outstanding.
British love their job. They work very fast-paced, and that's what I like. They have a lot of patience and very good communication. It's very close to the American way, but I feel like the British are a little bit more fast-paced, and I like that. I like the way they train.
Great opportunity to just be out here and do this stuff and with them, and it's just been one of them things that some people will never get to do.
So after a few weeks overseas, pushing themselves to the limit, has the new kit lived up to the expectations of 4 and 5 platoon? The shift from an artificial environment to use in real conditions means Virtus is not without its teething problems for the troops. Weighing up the pros and cons will take some time.
I like the body armour and the helmet. I'm not too keen on the DSAC and that. Just unnecessary straps getting you with.
I'm pretty confident with my own kit. Like I've used it for like 12 years, and it's I don't like change. But hopefully, I will be using this kit and adapt towards it, and it could be better.
The helmet's a lot better. It's lighter, fits better. You don't sweat as much from the head. It's a lot better, especially with the fixed monocle mount as well.
Because I'm a gunner, I carry most of my link in my day sack. So if I'm going on a short attack where I don't need to have my snacks and stuff on me, I just completely ditch my webbing, put the link onto my chest, onto the chest hook because it's molly, and just carry it that way. Just makes life easier, less kit, less weight.
The Virtus system is still a work in progress. The feedback 3 rifles give from their American experience will be used to modify and adapt the kit.
Within the contract, we have the mechanism to be able to do that and develop the system based on user feedback. But it has to be consolidated, and we have to absolutely focus on the right things to give that military judgment the opportunity to make the difference to the soldier on the ground.
Away from the danger of real-life combat, Exercise Rattlesnake has offered these soldiers the closest equivalent they can get. It's been fast, unexpected, and at times hectic. But it's also been a real opportunity to challenge themselves and to challenge Virtus, to make sure it's got what it takes to help a fight-light, high-tech soldier.